Tonight I want to talk, and hopefully a little later have a bit of discussion about the notions of lineage and heritage and ancestry. Lineage and ancestry, that's really what I want to say. And we've talked about this before, but hopefully I'd like to think I'll bring something new to this. And I want to begin with saying I'm no expert on these topics, so take what I say with a grain of salt or a handful. And if it resonates for you, then I'm happy, and if not, that's okay. And by resonate, what I mean is that I hope that, maybe through some of these words, we all can expand and extend. And maybe what I mean by that will become clear as I go along. When I'm tired, or when I'm worried, or when I'm angry, my view of who I am and of my world doesn't extend. It doesn't expand. It contracts. It narrows. It tightens. It excludes. I put up a moat around myself. And I exclude other people in the present time and people from the past. And I suppose by extension, people that I have not met yet in the future, may never. When I was younger and full of it, I really rejected my own ancestry, my family lineage, and perhaps even in a cultural sense, I did as well. I'm a child of a particular time. And I harbored harsh judgments about what people had done and the mess that they had left me. It was very personal. But over the years, I've mellowed a bit on that, if not ultimately. Maybe pickled is a better word. And I regret that I didn't take more time with my parents and grandparents, aunts and uncles, older people that I knew I was not part of their family, to really listen to their stories. Those stories are lost now, other than the ones that I remember. So one view, and I want to share three different views of what I'm talking about as far as lineage or ancestry. One of them is that. One of them is family, our literal bloodline. Personal ancestry. It's one expression of this. We've all seen this meme, I think, before, but when we look behind us, and I love the notion of they're back behind me, I can't see them. I have 2 parents and 4 grandparents, and 8 great-grandparents, and 16, and so forth. And you go 10 generations, and it's over 1,000 people. They all lived and loved and worked, made choices, and died. So that I could be here right now. Who were they? How do I thank them? In our Zen practice, we recognize lineage much more formally, I think, and more deliberately. And we hold this lineage with respect. And we do have some of the stories. We have a lot of the stories from our Zen lineage going back 1,700 years or whatever it might be. Thanks to diligent scribes who put together koan collections and other writings about teachers of the past and what they said and what they did. And we work with those. So we really have a rich inheritance from our Zen lineage. We don't do this regularly at the Eon Zen Center. We've been doing it on Saturdays from time to time, but a little more traditionally, in a full Zen service, we say all those names. And now there are about, I think, 84 or so in that lineage. We say all those names all the way back to Shakyamuni Buddha. Just as an aside, not as a critique so much, just I'm happy this is shifting. All those 84 names are men, and due to the work of some people who hold together some history, we now have a matriarchal lineage too that we've been reciting as well. Some of you have been there on Saturdays when we've done this. So we remind ourselves of our lineage, of our ancestors. In our ceremony, when we take the Buddhist vows, I thought about whether to bring this out or not, but I think I will. And formally become a Buddhist. We join that lineage. And we express it in a document. I won't pass this around, but I'll just show you. Knew that was going to happen. In a document called a Kechinyaku. And it has all those names on there. And once we complete this, we put our name at the bottom. Kechinyaku is also referred to as the bloodline of the Buddha.
You really point that out as a circle.
Yeah, I'm looking at the back of this. I'm trying to wrestle the thing, and it's delicate. So the blood lineage begins with the Buddha, and goes down through all of the ancestors in India, 26.
Yeah, in Indian up here, and then Bodhidharma is the beginning of the Chinese. And then the Japanese. Dogen is right here at the beginning of the Japanese part of the lineage. And then back into the American, let's see, where is it? The American is here, because it's Mazumi Roshi is here, so brought from Japan. And then here's Shishin in the American part of the lineage here. And then you can see here, kind of comes in and it goes back up to the Buddha.
So it's a circle.
Why does it go back up?
Well, I may just prefer not to answer that. That's a good question to noodle on. Why does it go back up? And that's really part of what I'm talking about here tonight is how are we connected? And is it linear? And does it move forward in time from the past to the present to the future? Or as modern physicists might tell us, it's all at once. Or quote the name of the movie if you like. Everything, everywhere, all at once. that's one thing I can say about that, is expressing that endless connection. We have another way of regarding and appreciating lineage and ancestry, and it's neither of the two before. It's not family, it's not blood necessarily, although it could include family, and it's not necessarily a spiritual lineage like the Kitchenaku, although it could include those folks as well. But it's more personal, perhaps intellectual, artistic, cultural, social. We did in Zen Peacemakers, in our 2-year training program, when we talked about lineage, we had students fill out, again, do an assignment to fill out a page or two, and it could be words, it could be pictures, it could be a song, whatever they like. Thinking about and appreciating those people in their lives, whether they knew them personally or they were 2,000 years ago, who had a personal impact on them that they carried around with them all the time. And it was a beautiful exercise. And if anybody would like to do that, I encourage you, just as a personal practice, to do such a thing, just to try to remember, why am I like this? Where did that influence come from? And as a way of appreciating or showing gratitude. I have such a list. It's got 70 names on it. And I look at it from time to time. It's got musicians and writers and political activists and civil rights people and one cat. And it has my grandfather, and it has Shishin Roshi on it as well. So some from those other two expressions of lineage. So we have these 3 ways that we can, and I'm sure there's more, this is just my construct, to appreciate lineage, ancestry, and to be grateful for all those who worked, loved, made choices, suffered, that we may be here today, here together in this space. Blood or family lineage, spiritual lineage, cultural or social lineage. Americans are not so much prone to Confucian kind of thinking, but this is a beautiful practice to be able to look at all of this and recognize our ancestors as we look back. But I want to suggest that that's part of it. When I introduced the guidelines for council practice, we talk about this notion that I'm going to share. Ideally, council practice you do in person. Ideally, you do it outdoors around a fire in a circle. You're facing one another. Because of the last few years, we've been doing a lot of council on Zoom. So we sort of imagine that we're in a circle. And we do light a candle, we do have a fire. And we refer to that fire as the children's fire. So named because we are looking into the future. And I don't know if I'll get lost in trying to use the math here, but if there are 1,000 people standing behind me, 10 generations, who is out in front? Who is in front of me? Thank you. So when we're still and we feel into all those that stand behind us, as we refer to, and consider those that will come later. Who we can't possibly know. We can't know who they are, what the circumstances will be. It's almost like two funnels that come down to a Venturi point that's me. And this flow of time and relationships is flowing through me right now. Stunning. This vibrancy and this opportunity. And without it sounding like too heavy of a word, I also want to say this responsibility. This responsibility. That I have to do my best, whatever that might be. Look what I've been given. Why me? And who are those ones who will come after me? And how can I best serve them? And I don't think I want to answer this question. I think I just want to pose it. Does this connection of relationships across space and time, is it just limited to those that we can name, as I've tried to do, albeit somewhat generally, but is it limited to just that? Or does it go sideways too, if you know what I mean? Does it go out to everybody? I'd like to suggest that it does. That our lineage includes everyone. I've talked about this before, but a friend of mine that you all know brought me this piece of Pando male quaking aspen from Utah. This Pando aspen is a clonal organism that this particular one is 108 acres and over 6,000 metric tons. And it looks like a hillside of a bunch of different trees. We all know this, we live in Colorado. They're all up there. There's a bunch of them up there. None of them are as big as this Pando organism. But all those trees are one tree. They're one organism. And I'll let the scientists debate this, that, or the other thing. But the DNA in that organism, and as a result in this piece of it, is over 14,000 years old. They look like thousands of individual trees, but they're one organism. And I find this Pando male quaking aspen. I'm not, a biologist would have to tell us why they are male. They might like football more than some other kinds of trees or something. I'm not sure, but I find it just a perfect metaphor for our individuality and our oneness throughout space and time. 14,000 years is inconceivable to me. It might as well be forever. So are these notions of ancestry and lineage sentiment? Or are they poetry? Or are they fantasy or just ideas? Or are they more tactile, more visceral, something we can experience? When, a number of years ago, when I first started working on the Mukoan, Maizumi Roshi told me that if I worked diligently, my eyebrows and Joshu's would intermingle. The shocking thing to hear him say, because that was 1,200 years ago. I don't think he was being metaphorical. 40-some years later, I still remember that he said that. I'm going to end with this quote from Hongzhi Jundwei from his practice instructions. He said, "Put to rest the remnants of your conditioning. Sit empty of worldly anxiety. Silent and bright, clear and illuminating, blank and accepting, far-reaching and responsive. Without encountering worldly dusts, fulfilled in your own spirit, arrive at this field and immediately recognize your ancestors." Thank you for listening.